Imagine a military aircraft so massive, the crew actually lived inside it. This bomber featured a fully functional kitchen, sleeping bunks, and a toilet, all inside a hull tearing through the sky just above the ocean waves. The Martin Company built over 1,300 of these flying behemoths during the Second World War. Yet today, you will only find a single surviving airframe sitting in a museum. Most people remember the PBY Catalina as the famous flying boat of the era. But by the late 1930s, the U.S. Navy realized they needed a successor with significantly more range, strength, and carrying capacity. Martin wanted to win that Navy contract, but they faced a severe cash flow problem. They could not afford the financial risk of building a full-scale physical prototype to prove their concept worked. This diagram illustrates their ingenious workaround. They built the Tadpole Clipper, a 3/8 scale remotely controlled flying model. Driven by a cymbal engine and a pair of fan belts, it allowed Martin to test the hull's hydrodynamics without bankrupting the company. The scale model proved the radical deep hull design functioned perfectly on the water. The Navy reviewed the data and immediately ordered 20 production models, long before a full-size prototype even existed. That massive financial gamble resulted in the PBM Mariner. It transformed the flying boat from a simple patrol craft into a self-sustaining mobile base, even if history would eventually move on without it. This photograph highlights the imposing physical presence of the final PBM Mariner, defined by its distinct gull wings and massive twin-engine nacelles. To defend itself, the Mariner bristled with heavy weaponry. It carried multiple .5 caliber machine gun turrets positioned strategically across the nose, dorsal spine, waist, and tail. Looking at the sheer scale of the aircraft relative to the ground crew, you can see how it earned the nickname the Flying Barracks. That cavernous internal volume housed a 4-bunk sleeping cabin and a fully equipped galley. These domestic amenities were an absolute necessity. The 9-man crews regularly flew grueling 14-hour anti-submarine patrols over the open ocean, requiring them to eat and sleep while on duty. When deployed to the Atlantic theater, they found their targets. German U-boats, accustomed to encountering weaker patrol planes, were completely caught off guard by the massive bulk of the Mariner descending from the clouds. This image captures the violent aftermath of those encounters, a heavily damaged U-boat listing in the water spray. Aircraft like the famous Mariner named Nickelboat dropped high explosives to devastating effect, verifying the lethality of these steel whales. The Mariner succeeded because it perfectly balanced the extreme lethality of a heavy bomber with the endurance and habitability of a naval surface ship. As the military focus shifted to the Pacific theater, the Navy needed aircraft to support the island-hopping campaigns in remote locations far out of reach from traditional concrete runways. To get off the water with massive payloads, crews utilized JATO, or jet-assisted takeoff. They attached solid-fuel rocket pods directly to the hull, providing a violent burst of thrust to lift the heavy flying boats into the air. This seaplane tender ship, with its heavy deck cranes, shows the sprawling logistical network required to keep the Mariners flying. Entire fleets of these support ships operated in remote waters, hoisting the massive aircraft onto their decks for maintenance. The crews needed that maintenance constantly. Taking off and landing meant sliming the hull against 15-foot ocean swells, a brutal environmental reality that caused severe, repeated structural damage to the aircraft. That same violent turbulence routinely shattered the plane's delicate electronic identification systems. Without a working signal to verify they were friendly, Mariner crews regularly faced terrifying anti-aircraft fire from their highly anxious fleet. Whether dodging Japanese fighters, surviving friendly fire from their fleet, or enduring the crushing ocean swells, Mariner crews faced constant threats from the enemy and the elements alike. As World War II ended, Martin's original engineering compromise began to take a toll. Choosing a 2-engine design over 4 engines severely compromised the aging airframes. Fully loaded with fuel and cargo, the aircraft was chronically underpowered. Rough water takeoffs became incredibly dangerous, and lack of lift occasionally caused the massive planes to violently nose over into deadly crashes. The design flaws earned it the horrifying nickname, Flying Gas Tank. Worn fuel cells leaked fumes into the enclosed hull, and simply lighting the galley stove to cook a meal sometimes triggered catastrophic mid-air explosions. This graph tracking accident rates from 1940 to 1960 illustrates the grim reality. The line remains relatively stable during combat years, but sharply spikes upward after 1945. Records show at least 18 major structural and explosive accidents in that period. This post-war string of fatal accidents destroyed the aircraft's reputation. The military quickly scrapped the remaining mariners, allowing the older, structurally safer Catalina to claim all the historical glory. Today, a lone surviving airframe rests in an Arizona museum. Despite its tragic reputation in its final years, the Mariner remains the heavily armed floating home that sustained thousands of naval crews during the height of the war.